On Casually FC, welcome to another Casually Chelsea show. I'm accompanied by my great panel of Oliver, Chris, Ahmed, and yours truly, Marshalldbdx. Before we go ahead and start, go ahead and make sure you check out that membership. We have a link pinned to the top of the chat in the description, as well as a join button. You get the membership, you get some emojis you can use, which you can see already in the chat. Feel free to do whichever tier you'd like. There's 4 tiers available. If you don't want to support in that way, you can just smash the like button. It's free. Smash the like button, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell notification, don't miss any of our future streams, and leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think. Check out the links in the description as well to our Discord and all other fun communities and ways to reach out to us. Twitter, also available. So yeah, check it out. It's all available for you there. Make sure you're giving it a follow as well. Let's help our Twitter grow. But yeah, so today's show, we got Thiago Silva staying. Thiago Silva, here we go. Aubameyang apparently is going to fight for his place, and there's new developments in the Mason Mount saga. So let's go ahead, boys, and get this show on the road. Let's go ahead and start things off with yesterday's game. A little bit of an observation that was pinpointed out yesterday. Let's go ahead and pull this tweet up. So Chelsea Dodgers here showing us a picture of Gilbert Inaka, who is the guy, the mental skill coach we were linked with or that we had just hired at the game, observing the catastrophe that was Chelsea's first half FC. So look, I like this. I like that he's there. I like that we're making movements. I think this is part of the solution for us actually starting to get results for this team and starting to get that mentality through their heads, because it's not there. I feel like we went from being absolute shit with Mason Mount and not having anything going on in the midfield to we're back to not as shit, but we just do well in the first half rather than the whole game being crap. So Oliver, if you want to open things up for the show, what'd you think about Onaka finally being there and seeing what he could potentially do for this team's mentality?
Yeah, it's good to see that he's obviously getting in, talking to the owners very quickly. This is definitely a necessary addition. You know, there's been a lot of discourse recently, you know, especially after yesterday's game, Potter in, Potter out, that debate's all been going around. And listen, if Potter's not going to be sacked, then this is 100% necessary, because in the sample size we have, it's been 5 months, it's been however many games, he seemingly can't tap into these players' minds. So hopefully the new approach, you know, because he is from rugby, so that's a different mentality, a different sport. Yeah. Hopefully with that expertise from a different area, hopefully some of it can translate to football. And we need to, like you said, 30-minute FC, we need to get out of this. We need to start becoming consistent over games. We need to be accountable for our mistakes and what we do in the game. So it's 100% necessary if Potter's going to stay here. So I've got no complaints personally, unlike some others in the Chelsea fan base.
Hey, big up to Zuber, new member. Hopefully you guys enjoy your emojis and the benefits that come with it. Yeah, big up to you, man. Big up for joining. Ahmed,
what are your thoughts on... Don't say big up to this guy. Whoever this guy is, don't say big up to me. I know who this person is, that's why. I'm just kidding.
No, he's supporting me, and if he's against you, then I'm all for it, man. Like, yeah, so he supports the
I'll
channel.
tell you guys off stream.
Go for it. But Ahmed, what are you saying about this mental skills coach, man? Do you think that it's needed? Do you think that's what we need after yesterday's game?
Maybe we do. Maybe we don't. You know, listen, it's complicated at Chelsea right now, man. The problem, I feel like, I'm trying to reword my words properly here.
Yeah, take your time.
Like, you know, obviously we have like a backroom issue where it was player power and that sort of thing, but we are obviously selling these guys. But if we are selling these guys over time, do we really need this guy? That's what I'm saying to you. Like, I just don't understand. Like, let's say we remove these guys out of the equation. You have all the new boys and the guys that you want left. Do you necessarily need a new guy to help you build a culture? Surely that should be done by the actual manager himself. Like, if you're a Potter, you should really be doing that yourself. But maybe, you know, he feels that's not his strong side, so they brought someone else in. But again, it feels like an ownership thing. Like, it feels like the ownership are bringing this in. Or maybe he's speaking of the ownership and the ownership are trying to help him out.
You think this is Bowley's way of trying to like influence what's going on the pitch himself rather than just relying solely on Potter?
I think so, because maybe Bowley and the other guys are seeing maybe, you know, Potter, he's much more of a coach He's not really, the guy to be, out there standing outside like, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that. I'm benching you, not gonna have those sort of conversations. So what do you do instead? You bring in someone else that can show you how to do it, and then build a culture yourself, and then maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a side of it that's been missed out by a lot of Chelsea fans. A lot of Chelsea fans have neglected to focus on this aspect. This isn't just about the players. This Enoka guy, he's going to be looking at Potter as well. It's about mentality coaching for every single aspect of the team, because I believe one of his quotes from the All Blacks was that, I'm going to try and see things that the manager sometimes can't. So it's about giving feedback to the manager and hopefully improving for the future, because this is, as far as I'm aware, it's only a temporary appointment. So hopefully Potter can pick up some things from this guy, and then we can move forward.
Chris, what are your thoughts on this, man? Do you think this is our saving grace?
I just thought of he's sussing out like the mentality, right, of like the Chelsea
Looking
team.
right at Mason Mount. Yeah, you're right.
No. I just don't even think about Mason Mount. You know, it'd be funny.
I'm kidding. Yeah.
Like he goes, looks at the mentality. He looks at Potter and he sees like no mentality, what people think, and he goes to Todd Bowley. Yeah, this guy ain't got no mentality. Sack him. Like it'd be like Potter's worst nightmare. But does I want to know as well, does any club really have like a mentality coach? Because this seems all new to me, like having someone like that. And that's what I feel like with Todd Bowley. Oh, go on, sorry.
From what I read, because there's been a lot of discourse about Emma Hayes as well. Like, people have been putting her quotes on social media and being like, oh, Potter needs to act like this. Apparently Emma Hayes had some sort of mentality, help from other people when she first came to the club, and it took her 3 years to create that winning culture. So if it can apply there, and people can have their debates on how similar the men's and women's games are. The fact is, tactics and mentality still carry over, in my opinion. So it happened there. I don't see why it can't happen here, but that's the only example I'm aware of, just because that's Chelsea.
I feel like also like you got to take into consideration, Chris, that as much as like Chelsea for years now have been the top echelon of this mentality of like the winning mentality, we won't strive for anything less. Not only do we have the right managers, but like we started off in a complete rebuild with Jose, who instilled that mentality into the team. We had the players to back it, and for years we had that backbone. I feel like for the last 5 years we've kind of lost that backbone. And we've kind of been trying to rebuild it, but we're not rebuilding it. Like the only veterans that can really instill that mentality are arguably Aspie, who I don't think is the strongest suited for that. He's kind of more of the quiet captain, in my opinion. And possibly Jorginho. I mean, I don't know what other veterans you would go towards.
Well, Jorginho's gone, isn't he?
Yeah, he's gone. Yeah. So
you're looking at more Thiago Silva, I think.
And Thiago Silva, but Thiago Silva is just a professional. He doesn't speak English, and he's not like ingrained in Chelsea culture like an Aspie would. So there's not really many players that are there that would teach it along to the younger squad. So I kind of get bringing in this guy, putting in the mentality of this team when it's young right now, getting rid of the ones that aren't about it, and then moving forward from there. I don't know if you feel that same way, Chris.
I do feel like that, but like that's the problem. Like the players to like today's like generation, like I feel like a lot of players do crumble under pressure, weak mentality. You've seen it for Arsenal for many years. Now they look like they finally stabled a winning mentality team. Like they got that. I don't know how they did it, but maybe just sticking with Arteta. But I feel like a lot of players, even Man United team for like many years, like their mentality seemed weak. I feel like a lot of clubs would probably like need some sort of like mentality coach in a squad. And I've noticed with Todd Bowley, he's just getting a position in every like department, like co-director, another co-director, scouting department, another scouting department, and mentality coach either. I never heard of. I never think we can buy a mentality coach from rugby, but he's definitely going to be looking at a few players at Chelsea, like Mason Mount. I don't know if he's like mentally strong this season because he's been very poor. Kai Havertz is, and here's another thing about Kai Havertz. Like the first half of the season, why doesn't Kai Havertz wake up? Is it mentality? Is it? Surely it's not ability, because what kind of ability it is? Like they wake up in the second half more over the first half. It's got to be a mentality thing for me. It's got to be. I don't know what it is. Like Morata, remember Morata? He needed a mentality coach. He was very mentally weak. So I actually see it as a good thing. I don't know why people will be against it. It ain't gonna hurt us. It's actually probably gonna help us. So yeah, I'm all for it.
I will say on Morata though, with Morata though, if you because with this whole debate about Mason Mount or We Are the Shed, some tweets from a few years ago have come to my attention that were aimed at Alvaro Morata when he was at Chelsea. That some of the things that were said to him by this fan base were absolutely vile, and that's not. It's not about mentality. I think that's just more him, like, you know, literally getting abused. But yeah, that might be relevant to it.
Yeah, it's the hypocrisy that we spoke about yesterday with the fan base supporting one player and not the other.
One more thing as well, Chris. You mentioned Arsenal with their mentality.
Mentally strong now.
I actually, if I remember correctly, because I'm probably remembering this, I think Lee Gunner was like ripping into Arteta because I think they actually did hire someone to do some sort of overview of the mentality of the club. So
yeah,
might not be worded in the same way, but I do think that Arteta brought someone from the outside to do this. So
they seem a lot mentally stronger, Arsenal.
Yeah, and
we can all see it.
The proof is in the pudding. Look where they are on the table, and they're playing great football, and you know their players aren't being rash anymore. Yeah, and their players aren't being rash anymore. You don't see Xhaka red cards every week now. So
yeah, being too emotional. Yeah,
the proof is in the pudding, as you can see.
Big up to everyone just joining in. If you are just joining in, make sure you're smashing that like button. Check out our memberships we now have available. And one of you guys that are members, if you wouldn't mind putting some of those emojis out there, that'd be great. We will get more emojis with the more members. Yeah, no, we got some awesome emojis. If you're on Discord, you've probably seen a few of them too. So they're great, man. You'll get more juicy ones the more memberships we get. It's just how YouTube works. But let's go ahead and talk about the next topic that I want to talk about, which is the manager, the hot topic right now. The rumors of Hansi Flick and potentially Potter being sacked. We'll see what happens with that, but let's go ahead and discuss. Why not? All right. So coming from CF Bayern via caught offside, right? I heard that Hansi Flick is an idea as a potential replacement for Graham Potter. I know about the rumors that surfaced that he was spotted at Stamford Bridge for Chelsea versus Fulham, but he was actually there for Kai Havertz. I really think this is all it is. I don't think there's any more feet to this other than that. Look, as for the whole Potter thing, I understand, Chris, you were one of them, and many other fans are a lot more visceral to what was said yesterday from Graham Potter about, you know, that's life. Sometimes decisions don't go your way.
I don't like those comments.
Yeah,
I don't like
them. I get it. But people who are Potter out, I'm sorry to tell you that it's not going to happen. Not this season, at least. Maybe over the summer. It might.
Hey, Marshall. I said give him to the rest of the season. I even still said that.
I'm not saying you. I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of fans out there already spewing the whole Potter out and all that stuff. Point. Like, listen, there's no point. 2, it doesn't help the club right now. 3, you just had, like, again, and I was talking about this backstage with you guys. This isn't FIFA. You're not just going to put the players in and then the green lines are going to appear and all of a sudden your team is going to play magically. Like, no, it takes time for these players to recognize how they play with each other. It takes time for Cucurella to have the confidence to pass it to Mudryk. You know, it takes time for, you know, Noni Madueke to know when to let go of the ball, pass the ball, or make an overlapping run, like, and Reece James, because let's get it right too. Like, Reece James in that first half didn't look too hot. And that might be as a result of him just not used to how Madueke runs. You saw the confusion that they had when the goal was conceded. There's a lot of meshing that still needs to be done. So I think right now to say, oh, Potter, you didn't get it right. Oh, you didn't make the subs and this and that. Like, bro, Tuchel made bad subs too. In fact, Tuchel, and this is the difference between Tuchel and Potter for me when it comes to subs. Tuchel made very questionable subs and very questionable lineups when he first started playing for Chelsea. But after a while, he started to shut us up and we didn't question anything up until it started becoming a problem. Where it's the opposite with Potter. Potter is trying out new formations and trying out different lineups and minus Mount until recent and Gallagher until recently and Havertz as well.
Talking about formations.
Yeah, of course. We'll bring it all up, and I'm just putting it all out there for you guys. I let it go. But wait, let me just land real quick. But yeah, but with Potter, it's just not been working out, and I think it's a result of the mentality not being there, players coming back from injury, just not meshing yet. A whole new squad of players. At least with Tuchel, the squad already knew itself for the most part. They had played half the season up until then with Frank Lampard. There was some meshing period already in there. So we'll see what happens. I'm not going to say I'm Potter out. I'm not going to say I'm Potter in. I'm still very much on the fence. I want to see what happens in the Dortmund game. But this Flick rumors of another coach, I just don't think there's any legs to it. I think this regime is going to stick with him until
just quickly,
the end of the season at least.
Just quickly on Flick, by the way, I think this. I don't know if this has either been like neglected by whoever wrote this report or not, but
Sure.
and I don't know if this player is a factor in Flick being there, but Bernd Leno is also he's a German goalkeeper. He was the starting goalkeeper for Fulham, so Flick may have potentially been looking at him because. Obviously, what's his name? Manuel Neuer has an injury that's taken him out for the rest of the season. So Marc-Andre ter Stegen will be their starting goalkeeper. So maybe he's looking at Bernd Leno as a second or third. So maybe he's a factor as well as Kai Havertz.
So I think for me, obviously I think this story is a non-story, but I was gonna say to your point, Marshall, there is two things that I would add. The first thing is the culture now is different to the culture of Roman, I would argue. Like now,
thank you. Yes, that's what to address this comment exactly. Actually, yeah.
Like this ownership's thing is different to Roman's one, where they're trying to, I think, look for long-term success. Don't get me wrong, we haven't seen the fruits of its labor, whether it will work or not yet. Right now, we're already at the beginning phases. I think obviously it's good to point out where we think it's going wrong. But I feel like we're doing a bit too much when we're trying to go this far. And the second thing is, I don't think the fan base is ready to move on. I would argue from this hire and fire culture, and that's why we've seen such the reaction in it. Because it's always win fast. Even I want win. Like when we lose, when we keep on drawing the way we have, no wins in such a long time, it's gonna hurt. Of course, it's gonna hurt. But the question is. We need to stop. The question is, are we willing to stick with this as a fan base? Because let's say, for example, we do lose against Southampton and then we do lose against Borussia Dortmund. You know that if you thought Lucy's stream, for 7 hours of a 0-0 draw was bad, that's gonna be Hall of Fame. That's gonna be a Hall of Fame stream, Hall of Fame stream right there, man. Honestly, bro.
Let's have it right.
Go ahead.
And people will literally be talking about Mourinho as part 3, bro, at that point.
Oh my god!
I'm telling you.
No, I saw the stream. I did hear that. That was shocking.
Yeah, the thing is though, even
I won't be against it.
Look, referring to this comment here, right? I know we can't keep dropping points. I'm not opposed to sacking Potter in the summer. I'm opposed to sacking Potter now. I'm opposed to not giving Potter at least the rest of the season to try out this team, because who else are we going to get realistically? Chris, you want to interject on that?
I will say though, if he does but I do understand, because I know people. I think even Carlito said it actually. It's not the old regime and all that, but if you keep dropping points more and more and more and more, and what is it 2 wins in 12 games so far? I know it's not great.
Not been good.
And I'm still keeping Potter for now, but say if he loses Southampton. God forbid. If he somehow loses Southampton, that is a horrible result in itself.
That is
because
damning.
They just lost to Wolves, 10-man Wolves. They just lost to 10-man Wolves. And they're probably getting relegated this season. But we should not lose to Southampton. There's no excuses for Potter. There's no excuses for those players. All together, you can't lose that game. But if he does keep losing, he will get sacked, I think, anyway. But
let me I kind of came to a little bit of a realization the other day that I was like, let me bring this up to the boys and see what they think. Do you think rather than going into a manager sacking culture, we're moving more towards a player sacking culture? Considering how think about it. Body Shield's already been replaced pretty much.
Body Shield's been replaced?
I'm sorry. Koulibaly's basically been replaced already, right?
Yeah, but he's gonna be
he's almost out the door. We don't know that. He's almost out the door. It might actually be that he goes. We got rid of Jorginho before we even had Enzo, but
Jorginho wasn't signing a contract, so
True. But
I wouldn't say
I
sacking.
think not sacking, but the same sense. Like I think it feels like to me that we're willing. This regime seems to do the opposite of Roman, rather than back to players and sack the manager, which is easier. I think they'd rather go the other to the whole different extent. And if a player isn't working out, they're willing to get rid of the player, and then before getting rid of the manager. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I think we saw
remember.
Wait, anyone go first?
Yeah, I was just gonna say quickly.
Echo.
Is it Echo?
No, go on, man. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was saying, we can see obviously now the Deadwood is getting removed, but we don't know yet if there's an actual like Koulibaly. That was like a speed signer, but let's say, for example, Mudryk. Hypothetically speaking, Mudryk doesn't turn out well in the next season, for example, right? Coming out.
Big up, God of Frogs.
Yeah. Then is he sold in summer 2024? If that's the case, then we can say that maybe we're going for a second the player sort of thing. I would argue, but I don't think so right now.
No,
because right now all they're doing, they're just clearing Deadwood. They're just clearing Deadwood essentially. ZH Deadwood, Pulisic Deadwood. Deadwood.
But even
like, let's be real, like they're just clearing Deadwood.
I gotta put a ZH emoji. I just realized I never put a ZH emoji in there. I gotta do that.
That's
you guys are gonna want a ZH emoji.
You got the Roman
that shows up on the. Yeah,
I
got Roman applauding.
Yeah, God,
do a vote, man. Do it as a vote, man. I know people are gonna say it anyway.
I'll do it as a vote in the future. Yeah. But Oliver and Chris. Yeah, there's a Timo one. It's coming out soon. Don't worry.
So I on this point though about is it sacking players now? I think we've seen that from the summer. I mean, as much as we don't remember it, we have a £100 million Belgian striker currently out on loan at Inter Milan who we've taken a massive loss on. I think that was the first time where you can see, okay, this is clearly different from the previous regime that wanted to preserve asset values when it comes to the players, and just hold out in case they get the higher bid. It's like, no, just get rid of them now. Werner as well. Tuchel didn't want Werner, so he went out. Alonso didn't fit the plan, so he went. I think we've seen this already, and
that was under the new regime.
Yes, it was. That's my point.
Okay, you're okay.
Yeah, it's under the new regime, and Ahmed, as much as you say, you got to wait and see until he does it with like a Mudryk, for example. Well, if it gets to that point with Mudryk, then he becomes Deadwood. So it's still getting rid of Deadwood. I think that's the whole point. If they become Deadwood, then get rid of them. So I think the point still applies.
All right, then that's fair enough. I just think at the end of the day, they're just Deadwood. I don't know if it's like a selling players culture, if that makes sense. For me, you're just selling guys that have not worked out for you at the end of the day. Maybe obviously, I think obviously under the previous ownership with Roman, like they would obviously give the player another season, and if he didn't work out, then they would be probably loaned out or sold. So I think that's probably maybe the way that they're sort of going, maybe.
Boys, I gotta give this guy a big entrance because he's the mug of the hour. Give it up for
Hey! Papa Chell Scott, yeah? Papa Chell Scott, man.
You're not Papa Chell Scott.
Oh shit, yeah, the stream, I got told that last 3 a.m. How did you last 3 a.m. to those guys?
Bigging it up. Big it up with your camera on.
I got told I got no standards. That was a fun stream. I love when fun gaming fans decide that like I'm the problem with this club.
Listen, man, whatever. The problem is your tone. You're too condescending.
Yeah, man.
You're right, but I can give a fuck.
No, he beefed
you're safe here, bro. Don't worry. You're safe here.
Yo, God of Frogs, you'll find it.
No. Go watch the stream.
I'll say go and rewatch the stream. Just go and rewatch
the 5-hour stream.
No, literally, just go and watch it. Just go and watch it from when the old guys come on. That's all you need to watch it from.
Pretty much. That's the juicy part. Yeah, get straight to the juice. Scott, now that you're here, I mean, actually, Chris, did you want to add on to what we were talking about?
I will say I don't really believe that way because okay, we're getting rid of like Jorginho. We're not getting rid of Jorginho, but because Jorginho doesn't want to be here or whatever. But we're getting rid of whoever, maybe Mason Mount. But those players that Todd Bowley didn't buy. Like he ain't gonna get rid of Mudryk and Enzo like other the new players he's signing, maybe Cucurella. He won't get rid of like players like that.
Oh, that's a
for,
fair point, actually. Yeah.
I don't think he's gonna get rid of all those players just for Potter. He will get rid of Potter. Potter only cost him 12 million and so on, whatever he's brought to the Chelsea team. So like it's easier to still sack a manager. It's always going to be easier to sack a manager. And if that manager's still not getting you results with a new team what's spent like 600 million, does he deserve to be here? Is it too big for him? It probably is.
I mean, going on to Scott, I want to get his opinion on this, obviously, but so we were just talking about, potentially Flick being rumored to replace. We know it doesn't have legs. I think it's a nothing burger, but even then, I think people forget that we're not in the Roman regime anymore. We're just gonna sack and hire managers, and it feels to me, to a certain extent, I feel like the regime is changing more towards backing the manager more than the players, and if the players don't work out, to move them along and get other players that will work out. I don't know if you feel that you get that sense.
I feel like that's the right thing to do. To an extent, there's always a there's always a point in which like you can't do that anymore, because if a manager continually shows that they are not good enough, then you can't just back the players over them. On the Flick thing, I agree. Like the thing is, they might very well be looking at him, but it had nothing to do with why he was at Stamford Bridge the other night.
Yeah,
he's the German international manager watching his starting striker in a game.
That's another thing too. He's not going to drop the German job for Chelsea.
and potentially, as I say, and potentially a guy that could take the starting goalkeeping job while Neuer is injured. Because on form, you'd argue Leno deserves to be in there over maybe Ter Stegen, over maybe Trapp.
Oh wow.
Okay. So, like you can make that argument. Like that's how good Leno's been so far for Fulham, which is a surprise, but that's how good he is, and they need someone because Neuer being injured. So like, that's why he was there. But like the Flick thing might have legs. He might be someone they're interested in. The thing for me with the whole manager thing is if people want to change a manager, that's fine, but people need to understand what the new manager that is going to come in is going to do. For example, if those who watched the stream last night will know that one of the guys that I disagreed with mentioned that he wanted Jose back at the club. Jose coming back would mean, and I don't care if this happens, there are other reasons why I don't want Jose, but Jose coming back means all this youth project and all of these youth signings, all these youth guys we've got coming in like Gallagher, like Mount, like Hall, they're gone. They're not playing under Jose. Look at what he's done at Roma. He started to play a couple of youth players here and there. When he decided he wanted better players, he just bought other players. Like he went and bought Belotti and sold the youth guys that they had. So like if he comes in, for example, you've got to understand what it means for certain aspects. Same with Flick. There are certain things about the way he's going to do things that you need to understand how that's going to change. There'll things that like there'll be things that change for the better, obviously, depending on the caliber of manager you bring in. But you need to understand all the things that are going to change. And I don't with some managers. That's something I need to look into. Like, for example, I feel like if Flick comes in, I feel like we got to accept, one of the things I think at least is we got to accept Havertz is probably going to see as much game time as he's getting now. And if you're happy with that, that's fine. I'm personally not, but there are other things that he might do. But yeah, like I'm happy at least that we've got an ownership group that seem at the very least like they are willing to think rationally through something, especially with the other people they've brought in. You know, Vivel's going to give his input. I imagine Shields might give his, or Winstanley might give his, or whatever. So these these people will give their input, and I feel like it will be a measured decision. Whether Potter deserves to go or not, I feel like at the end of the day, these guys will make the right decision and will make a measured decision. It won't just be a case of sacking a guy for the sake of sacking it or keeping him for the sake of keeping him. Like, I feel like if they are keeping him, it's with a view or there's a reason behind it. It's not just them, like, it's not them doing what Potter does with some of these players and hoping that he's just going to come good one day. Like, there is a reason behind why they're doing it.
Before Alex goes, I'm sure he has a lot to say about this. The thing with Potter is that he doesn't have shit to say. Never mind. He's just here to watch and look pretty. So about Potter is that we pretty much, I'm still like waiting to see what he's going to do with the team. I know it has to mesh. I know it has to do all this and that, but I'm not opposed to him going in the summer. Like, I know they're going to have to pay a hefty contract. I think it's better to wait until the summer anyways, because we don't know what's going to happen with Don Carlo. I would like if we can convince Carlo Ancelotti to come back to the team, to Chelsea for a second stint. I would fucking adore that, personally, me. And we don't know what other managers could be available. There could be other options. Luis Enrique is another one that I would like to put up there, even though, again, he only did it with Barcelona. I don't know what he could have done if he stayed at the Spanish project at the international level. But I think there are more options out there in the summer rather than doing it now, going for an interim manager and whoever that might be, whether it be Jose or someone else. I don't know. I just don't think right now. I think right now would be too reactive. I don't know.
Marshall,
if Alex
Marshall, speaking of Real Madrid, if it makes you feel any better, speaking of Real Madrid, if it makes you feel any better about Potter's payout, we just got 20 million for Hazard winning the Club World Cup.
Yep.
So,
God damn.
So if that makes you feel any better, that is a third of the payout in our pockets.
What happens there? Is there rumor Potter is gonna leave or something?
No, we're just debating.
No, it's just everyone's talking about the Hansi Flick thing that happened earlier in the week,
and that
people are like, oh, maybe Hansi Flick comes in. It's like
that you like the week later.
yes, I go over past news, like recap it all in one little compartmentalized show, so that no one.
Yeah, never mind.
Do you want to add on to the Potter debate? Or you're okay on that?
I've been on Lewis stream yesterday for way too long.
5 hours. Yeah. If you guys want Alex's opinion on it, check out Lewis's stream, okay? Or even yesterday's stream that we did for the game.
My God, I had to drive about 150 miles total. And Lewis had to start the stream yesterday. So basically, he helped me make that 150 miles real short. But also, I watched the replay. Jesus Christ, man! I wasn't yelling. My microphone it's the Bluetooth microphone on your neck.
Oh right.
Oh yeah, it's fucking loud as fuck. Yeah.
So it's loud, and there's a kid. What's his name?
Gilscope?
Well, that's the one that
Moyo?
always triggers me. No.
Moyo wasn't in there yesterday.
No.
Oh, shit.
Sage.
Sage. Yeah, Sage. I was listening a lot, and Sage was like this kid that what's the name? He was like every time Dildo Excel says when the
What? Whoa.
when the proper
Can you just pause on the name? Dildo
Okay.
what?
Yeah, no, he's
what's his name?
done that for ages.
Yeah,
I would say
so
it was either Sage or it was Ziad. It was one of the two. I can't remember which one was
hold
doing
on,
it.
I gotta go. Hold on a second.
All right.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's Ziad or Sage was like chiming in every time Duoscope said something, which I get, but like, yeah, like I've got my opinions on what happened yesterday on the stream. I don't think that. I think Steve came in and spoke really well and was quite measured about it. I thought Tony came in and acted like a dickhead and acted like a typical gatekeeping Chelsea fan.
Let's go backstage then, yeah? We'll go backstage.
Yeah, me and Duoscope about our age and the fact we don't have our cameras on. The reason I don't have my camera on most of the time is laying in bed, fam. But I don't think any of you want to see me laying in bed. Like,
let's have it right.
Listen, some people want to come on here. They have professional jobs. They can't be doing YouTubing things like I am. So there's a sense of professionalism that has to be kept. And also, some people just don't want to. They want to save face. Okay, let people fucking do whatever the fuck they want. At the end of the day, they're there to put their voice out there to begin with. You know, that's already like hard enough to do as it is. Like, listen, I have plenty of dead opinions, and I say it on here. Okay, I'm not afraid to be criticized. I know some of you in chat probably, yeah, I own it. Some of you in chat make fun of me for it, but it is what it is. Speaking of bad takes and Obama. All right, Obama fighting for his place here at Chelsea. Let's talk about it. So last time we spoke about this, actually, it seemed like he was on his way to MLS, LAFC to be specific. But right here we have some affiliates. Los Angeles FC have agreed a deal in principle with Chelsea to loan forward Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. This is coming from Graham Bailey, pretty reliable source, or one of the more reliable sources in the Chelsea journalist circle. But then a quick turn of events happened. So Matt Law reporting, Aubameyang would rather stay at Chelsea and fight for his place for the rest of the season than move to LAFC on loan. At 33, Auba still feels he has plenty to offer top European teams, top European clubs. Barca, Atletico, AC Milan happen to agree. I don't know what he means by that. Are those clubs interested in him? I'm not entirely sure.
Potentially, but like of those clubs, right, that you just mentioned, AC Milan are too poor. Like they don't have the funds.
Probably.
And I'll be real, I don't think he starts for them over in the way they're playing over Giroud. Giroud's actually playing well for them. Like what's the point of going there to be a bit part player again of another team? Barca don't need him unless they're going to play him on the wing. And Atletico don't need him. Like this is I kind of get it in terms of wanting to fight for your place, but it's quite clear you're not wanted for whatever reason. Similarly to with Arteta, like you're just not wanted. You don't fit. I understand you think you can like offer something, but you had a chance to go to a league where you could dominate with your ability, your goal scoring ability, and the fact you know how to pick up good pockets of space, and going to the best team in that league, or arguably, you had a chance to score some goals, enjoy the last like couple of years of your career, win things because I'd say there's a decent chance. LAFC have got a decent chance of winning the CONCACAF Champions League this season. They've got a good chance of winning both the MLS Cup and the Supporters' Shield this season, and potentially the Open Cup. That's 4 trophies that you have a chance of winning. Like, I don't quite understand. Like, I do get it to a certain extent, but I also just don't really understand as well. Because also as well, your compatriots there, like a guy that I assume you get on with because you play together in the national team, like that you might not get on with, but I just find it a bit odd, personally.
I just don't know how he's going to fight for his position when he's been kicked out of the Champions League for like no reason because he doesn't have to be kicked. I don't know how he's actually got like able to fight for it. Like we don't see his training. He probably does train normal. He gets subbed on for Chelsea and then he gets subbed off the same game. I honestly don't like see like how he's going to fight for it because maybe just Potter don't like his pressing. He doesn't really press. Like that's the only thing I can think of because he's got a decent link up, I think, and he's got a good shot on him for sure. I don't think he's like completely bad, but just a lot of men just don't like him. Maybe he's too old. Is he like 33 now?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's just an age thing as well. Like he's just old and in the way. But yeah, he's just
The thing is, like,
you can't fight.
You know who's not old but still in the way? Kai Havertz. So it's like
Kai Havertz is a young player.
This is the thing.
Oh
You guys
God.
already know that I feel like Auba got like the shit end of the stick on this whole situation.
I do.
Yeah. So I mean, me and Alex agree. I think maybe he should have tried Auba a little bit more, or at least try to fit him into the lineup with these new attackers who are now creating more chances for him. I don't think it hurts to try. I mean, Havertz isn't really helping you. You're not playing Davis and Dacho Fofana. You got to try something else. I mean, if you're going to be experimenting with dropping Mount, which, by the way, I can't believe I'm saying this, but considering it hasn't happened till this day, kudos to Potter for finally dropping Gallagher and
Guys, I gotta go.
Mason.
My daughter rolled the ankle. I'll be back.
All right. I'll see you in a bit, Alex.
See you, man.
Hopefully your daughter's okay. But yeah, so with all that happening, I mean, like, why not give a shot to Aubameyang if he's
they don't
already
want him.
showing you?
Oh,
Yeah, I get that, but he's showing that he wants to be in the club, whether for whatever reason. It doesn't matter if it's for monetary because he doesn't want to end his career at MLS. At the end of the day, he's willing to stay rather than just chase the bread
But
or
I
chase the
think
check.
Marshall,
You know,
the problem is Marshall is Aubameyang part of your long term plan. Really
That's
long term plan. No, he's not. So at that point, what's the point of having him? You're not winning anything
because
anyway.
we need a
You're not gonna
short-term
win-
plan right now, Ahmed, to
No,
try to
but-
at least
But
win.
Marshall, you're not winning. Go ahead, Scott.
Uh-huh.
That's it.
I would say my argument to this is, Marshall, what's your opinion on what Ten Hag did with Ronaldo this season?
I think he did what needed to be done, what was right.
Cool.
And
So what he
yeah.
did, if you look at the face of it, is got rid of their top goal scorer from the previous season, someone who is an elite goal scorer, right?
Sure.
He decided to get rid of him because he didn't fit what he wanted to do. He made the team worse. Despite the fact he scored goals, he made the team worse. And he thought that having either Rashford up top or having someone else up top was better. Like a Weghorst, he would prefer to get that type of striker in because he, like, rather than have Ronaldo because of how he wants to play and how he thought it would work with the dynamic and everything. It's the same thing here, regardless of if we think Aubameyang is a better player than Havertz or whether we think that Aubameyang deserves a chance. He doesn't fit what Potter wants to do. He doesn't fit Potter's vision for the club. He hasn't been great, to be honest. Like, when we've seen him, he's been okay.
That's fair.
Like, I get it's not working for Kai, but the thing with Kai is there are certain things that Kai does that I can understand why Potter wants him in the team. Not necessarily, like, he shouldn't be starting all the time, but I can understand why he wants him in the team. Like, Aubameyang doesn't do that. And it's the same. It was the same thing with Arteta. It was the same thing. He was their top goal scorer before he left. And he didn't fit what Arteta wanted to do, because you're now seeing what Arteta wanted from their striker.
Yeah.
And Aubameyang wasn't given that. Lacazette was, but he had the other problem where he had the same problem Havertz is having. He just couldn't score for shit. Like, his hold-up play was good, and his link-up play was good, but he couldn't score for shit. Aubameyang just doesn't fit what he wants to do. And it's just a fit thing. That's all it is. It's just a fit.
I think
before you go, go ahead, Oliver. It's okay.
I think the key difference is you look at United. Yeah, sure, they got rid of Ronaldo, but they've managed to Ten Hag's managed to revive Rashford's career, and they're finding ways to score goals outside of Ronaldo now, and the
even
club.
Martial.
Well, he's not really doing much because of injuries, but either way,
he's been having a better season than previous seasons. Is my point.
But either way, Manchester United as a club, both in terms of the team and in terms of the fans, they're being able to, enjoy the fruits of Ten Hag's decision to get rid of Ronaldo, because they're playing better and they're scoring more goals. So that might be a poor example, but I can see what Scott's saying in terms of the Arteta one. I think that's more applicable.
The thing that I'll say about the Ten Hag one, though, sorry, Marcel, just before we go, is when he first made that decision, it was laughed at by a large portion of the media and pundits and some fans because of the fact he was a top goal scorer the previous year. But that decision has turned out to be good, in the same way that Potter will live and die by these sorts of decisions, where, like, I agree with this decision because I don't think it works long term, but this decision's only going to look good or look bad depending on how we progress. If it gets to a point where you start seeing Kai, we start creating a bunch of chances for Kai, and he keeps missing, then you look at it, and he's not doing the stuff that Aubameyang also wouldn't do. Then you look at it and go, well, now you could have Aubameyang in this team. It wouldn't make a difference to how we're playing, and he would be scoring those. But we haven't seen that yet. So I have to trust what he's done so far until I see a moment where I think that was where we should have had Aubameyang. That's a moment where we should have had Aubameyang. Like, I'll give you, I don't think Aubameyang does any better with the chances Havertz had at the weekend. As bad as they were, like, he was offside.
That's where I disagree.
I don't think that header that Havertz did. He needs to hit that on target. I don't think Aubameyang gets that on target.
I think it's more. I think it's more arguable for Fulham. Some of the chances in Fulham, I think. I think Aubameyang did better.
Sure, I'll give you that. But here's the thing: going back to what Scott was saying about the Ten Hag situation, the thing is that I don't even think when Aubameyang has played for Chelsea that he's hindered the whole team like Ronaldo hindered the whole team. I think. Yeah, he's not the type of, like, false nine kind of player that even then, like, I feel like Aubameyang drops so deep for the ball sometimes when we had just poor attackers. I think the biggest issue was the attackers with him. I think, look, I agree. If it's not part of this, if you're not part of the plans, then so be it, right? But I think every manager, and even this team to a certain extent, I like to see it as a toolbox and not just, like, going for a certain build. I think you make do with what you have. And Potter of all people should know this because he's known for being tactically versatile. You go into teams seeing what you're going to be playing against, what formation you might be up against, and then you pick a lineup that best suits to counteract that formation. And I think there are games where a player like Aubameyang, who is just going to be a striker that sits at the top, maybe it's an old school way of playing football, but regardless of the fact, there are going to be games where that's beneficial. To not even have him in the Champions League for like, first of all, what Matt Law is saying here, it's just odd that he dropped him in the Champions League unnecessarily, period. I mean, even why not? Like, you never know when you're going to have an injury to Havertz and you don't trust Fofana. You need a striker. But now that we have these
not even in that squad.
He's not even in that squad. Yeah, thank you. Fair point. But it's just one of those things that, like, I just don't see what the point is not giving it a shot. Considering, okay, maybe it's not in your plans, but at least you're in an experimental stage right now with the squad. You're testing out chemistry. You're doing the whole FIFA Ultimate Team lines and all that shit. Look, it's what's happening right now. But it's just one of those things like, why not give it a shot with Mudryk and Madueke and Enzo especially? I think there was link-up play with Aubameyang earlier in the season that we saw. There could be something there. I don't know. It's just my 2 cents on the whole situation. Ahmed, did you want to add something?
There's nothing really to add, man. I don't know that he's not wanted by the club. He's not going to start, man. That's it. As simple as that, to be honest.
We'll see. I respect that he's at least, quote unquote, fighting for his position.
Well, he can fight. Was fighting for a position that you know you're not going to start.
Yeah,
like, it's going to be not impossible.
Yeah, is it stupidity or is it admirable?
I think it's. I get why he's doing it, and I can see. I have a little bit of respect for him for doing it, but I also think it's stupidity because like I don't get it. Like you're not wanted, like at all. You're not. You don't have. Like, not unless you come in, like, and in the few minutes you're given, because you might be given a couple minutes here and there, you score a hat-trick in, like, every game you play. Like, apart from that, I don't see how he gets back to being anywhere near this team.
I just remembered something, actually. We saw this a few years ago. It was in 2020 when Tomori was offered to go out on loan in the summer of 2020. And he was like, no, I'm going to fight for my place. Did he get back in? No,
never. I think he played. Didn't he play one game, and it was in the cup.
He got subbed on against Liverpool because of Christensen's red card, and then he played in a cup game. That was it.
He played
pretty well in that game. Yeah.
So he fought for his place and he got nowhere.
As I say, I think once you get to a point where, like, for example, you've been taken out of the Champions League squad, you've basically been told you're surplus to requirements. At that point, just move on. Like, at that point, you're just not wanted. Just move on for the sake of your own career. Considering he hasn't got many years left, just move on. Go and play in LA. Go and play in the MLS where it's easier, and you'll probably score.
Is he getting paid a lot by Chelsea? Aubameyang.
It's under 200, I think.
Oh, was it under 200?
Oh, was it under? I thought it was over.
No, it's under.
I think it's under.
Okay, I was just thinking maybe it's a wage thing because maybe he's on a high wage and he just doesn't want to leave.
Reportedly with that deal to LA, we were covering the whole wage.
Really?
Yeah,
because I was wrong on a stream that I was on. So I thought that they had a DP slot to take Aubameyang. They don't, or they do, but it's a DP slot that like it's not like max salary. Like they have to have a DP who's still going to put them under their salary cap, or it has to be like a max. Like their rules are slightly weird with the salary cap. But yeah, I thought that he could basically join for like anything. They were fine, but they can't.
All right.
So we'd have had to cover at least some of the wages for him to be able to sign, because otherwise they wouldn't have been able to sign him.
By the way, ladies and gents, nearly 60 of you guys watching, make sure you're smashing that like button. It's absolutely free. And if you want, we now have membership available. You can join, become a member, and start using some of the new emojis that we've made available for you guys. On to the next thing. This is going to be a quick little transition over to the next big topic that we're probably going to talk about. But let's talk about small news. New medical staff. We're hiring people. Hey, listen, Chelsea FC, if you know how to inject the minerals, then you're hired, man. Let's go ahead and discuss the new medical staff news that we have here.
It's either part of that deal.
Listen, this is a little skeptical, but we have something here, okay? So breaking. Chelsea have appointed physio Fergal Karen. Karen has worked with the Irish Rugby Union Giants Leinster and is noted for his ability to work on hamstring issues. Particularly the rehab of top sports stars. And then right
Kante
here,
will be safe.
Kante, we literally got this guy specifically just for Kante. Chelsea have also recruited former Manchester United physio David Favre to also overcome the crippling injury problem that have dogged Potter's first season as head coach. Scott, you wanted to say something?
I was saying, I know Ollie's kind of making a joke about it, but I actually think that. I actually do think it shows, it's obviously not just for Kante, but I think that he comes a part of it. It shows that they actually have a lot of trust in him, and they see that going forward, they actually do want him to be continuing on. which means it's probably likely they're going to sign a new contract, and he's probably going to be involved fairly heavily, or as heavily as he can, considering his injuries.
Not only Kante, Reece James as well. He gets hamstring.
Oh yeah, 100%. I don't know who else.
I mean, Chilwell too. Wasn't Chilwell just out with a hamstring? No,
Yeah.
it was his other knee. It was his other knee.
No. His one that he had against that when he came back. Yeah, where he came back.
Was a hamstring.
That was a hamstring.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, we've been losing players to hamstrings a lot. Ahmed, what were you gonna say?
I would say even Havertz had like a hamstring thing, like I think in the first season he was at the club as well. So,
but yeah, I mean, let's hope that this actually. Well, I think I don't see why it wouldn't be true. But hopefully we're start moving in the right direction, because the injury issue, that's another thing with Potter. Like, you can't be too critical on him, because the other thing too is that he did have to deal with a lot of injuries. He doesn't have someone suitable to really pair up with Enzo. I know yesterday with Ruben Loftus-Cheek it looked okay, but that's not ideal. You don't want Enzo with Ruben Loftus-Cheek. You don't want Enzo with Gallagher. You want Enzo with a Conte. Or you want Enzo with a Kovacic. Both players which have been out for a good portion of the season. So if we do fix the medical issue, I think it does help out Potter big time. But at the end of the day, he has to pick the right lineup. So that's when, we can be critical despite having options, But, we move. I don't know if anyone wants to add on to this, or if anyone's excited about new medical staff. You got fresh new hamstrings on Conte.
I think this and the mentality coach and everything, again, it adds more to my reasoning as to why I back this ownership group so much is because they're going out and getting people that whose background is going to help. They're not just focused on for example, both the guys they've got in, apart from this guy that's on they're talking about, the guy who used to be at United. Both the other guys they got in came from rugby, but in their field they are elite, in term based on their track record, or what's been recorded as their track record. And I like that, I like the fact that they're willing to go out to other fields or other sports and willing to find people, and they're willing to go and get people that are going to help the club, like the mentality coach, like the guy that's going to focus on the hamstring injuries and potentially other muscular injuries, because that's the main thing that plagues our club is muscular injuries.
Yeah, so also keep in mind Madueke, another player that's possibly injury prone,
and a lot of his
making sure he stays healthy.
Yeah, and a lot of his muscle injuries, but it's just more steps in the right direction, and I think that is massively positive.
Good. All right, this is the big topic, boys. Let's see what happens here.
There's no big topic, man. I think that's all for today, isn't it?
It's like you saw what I was gonna bring up next, man. All right, let's bring up this guy again. Yeah. All right, Money Mace, let's have it right.
Fucking minerals, bro.
Anyways, Mason Mount wants to be among the highest earners at the club, wants to feel valued. Chelsea are optimistic of an agreement, but don't want to be sentimental. This is coming from Jacob Steinberg. More news here from Jack Talbot, which is a reliable source from the Liverpool end of news. Mason Mount has held direct talks with Liverpool, and he is a huge target for the club. So, now there's been talks had. Here's the thing. I don't listen. What you think about Mason Mount? If he's good, if he's shit, if he should leave, if he should stay. At the end of the day, you look at a player's actions. You look how they've behaved. You look at how they're currently behaving and how they're currently acting, and then you assess from there. Listen, Reece James and Trevor Chalobah had very little to any hesitation when it comes to contracts talks. The only one that's had any, and I mean any, drama when it comes to this contract situation has been Mason Mount. The other players have either chosen to leave, that being Gilmore. We saw what's going on right now with who's the one from Brighton? Oh my God, I'm forgetting. The center back.
Cole.
Yeah. He decided to take a loan. There wasn't that big of a fuss as much as this. This has been dragging on for about 2 months now. At the end of the day, you have fucking
minerals, bro.
This guy saying, "Oh, they're doing incentives so they can cheap out on the players." Are you fucking kidding me? How many players do we have in this team that just walk willy-nilly on the pitch, give barely a damn? I mean, look, I'm not. You know what? I'm not gonna put names out there, but there are so many players in this team that get complacent. And you're saying that having an incentivized form in the contract is the club cheapening out on players. Yet the same club also spent how much on the past 2 transfer windows? It's pure waffle. It's pure waffle. Don't listen to anyone telling you that. Listen, we used to be an incentivized club. We used to have incentives. A lot of clubs did this. It helps players perform better. It helps players keep in check. If they want to earn more money, they can. There's incentives to do it. If I want to make more money at my job, I have incentives in my job so I can make more money. It's there. It's an option. You don't have to do it. But if you want to get paid, if you want to earn and feel valued at the club, then have it be known. Do what you have to do to feel valued, to earn what you want to earn. I don't think there's anything wrong with there being incentive. If the issue is incentives for Mason Mount, then I'm sorry. Incentivize yourself out of the club. I don't know what to tell you. You haven't been playing well. You've been playing like shit. Even yesterday when you came on, yes, you had 2 brilliant moments. 1.5. I'll give you half because the other one you didn't pass it to fucking Ziyech when you should have.
What was the one brilliant moment?
It wasn't brilliant. It was
through
like
ball. It was a through ball that I think who was it? Enzo or was it Gallagher that
Reece
passed
James,
it to?
no,
James.
Reece James passed it forward to him
On the right-hand side.
Yeah, and he tried.
And Fabianski
crossing
just
by-
got a foot to it, right?
Yeah, so whatever, like,
And it
yeah,
didn't make it to Havertz. Yeah,
It
that was
was a
another
close
creative
chance.
moment.
I wouldn't say
Yeah,
it's brilliant, Marshall.
I'll give him that. But like, yeah, I mean,
It's
it was
an
just
okay
I'll give
moment.
him that. This is the thing.
Yeah.
I'll give him that. Like, I'm not opposed to giving Mount credit where it's due, but this season, for the most part, the minerals have not been there, man. The minerals have been lacking. I rather you give me absolutely no output, go back to how you played under Lampard than how you're playing now, man. So either agree to the contract or go to Liverpool. I don't care. This has gone too long. You've just been.
Can I like, you know, like he wants to feel valued, like wants high wages. If he goes to Liverpool, does he think he's gonna get a high wage? Like that, you should look at the Liverpool structure. Like, but like Salah and maybe Van Dijk, FD's on lower than 200k. I'm pretty sure.
Just to remind you, Chris, you are talking about someone who has a complete lack of self-awareness. So no, he doesn't realize this.
He's too busy looking at that ground. So
You know what else actually annoys me?
I'll tell you what he's too busy doing. He's too busy having a laugh with some centre back from.
I was
West
actually
Ham
just going to bring that up.
Why was he laughing with that guy?
Because he's a cunt. Excuse my language.
Like, yeah, but like, why? With Declan Rice, I might understand a bit more because he's best friends with him. Whatever.
Or even
No,
Emerson.
Emerson
I
No, I don't
know you
understand
should
that.
do.
No, I don't understand that.
No. I don't agree. You should have done it still, but go on. Sorry, Scott.
I was like, do you know why I don't agree with
before you go on, Scott, I just want to put this out there because I kind of want to hear you guys' differences in the situation. I want to hear what you guys think is the difference between what Mount did yesterday and what Hazard did for us when we beat them in Champions League.
Hazard's a legend to the club, and Mason Mount is
He's a
such
legend.
like.
Also, there's timing. He got slated for doing that by Real Madrid fans as well.
He did.
Like, that's the thing. He got slated by Real Madrid fans for doing that. And also, do you know why I don't understand it, even if it's Rice? Because guess what? Thiago went up to a guy that he's played with for a number of seasons, who he is a compatriot of, because Emerson is Brazilian born. Didn't smile, just said a few words to him as he hugged him and walked off. That's what an actual guy with proper mentality and a leader does. You don't go up and start laughing with some guy, a German centre back as well. Like, this isn't anything against Kerr, it's just how stupid this is. Went up and started laughing with a German centre back and a Czech midfielder, who just, by the way, a few minutes earlier had cost us or had saved with his hand in the box. And should have had a penalty for. And you didn't say anything. Like this guy is a prick. And the sooner he is gone, the sooner our club progresses.
Gary, mate,
Also,
none of us here, before you go, Scott, none of us here have not criticized Koulibaly. I think all of us have been admitted that Koulibaly's shit. Here at Casually FC, unlike other channels, we keep it consistent. And we keep the same energy with all the players. Minus Ahmed. He has a Ziyech agenda, but we move, okay? We keep it consistent. We keep it consistent here, okay? Listen, Mason Mount, if he's a proper Chelsea player that everyone claims he is, that he loves the club, he'll die for Chelsea. He's his boyhood club, all this bullshit. he would have done what Reece and Trevor Chalobah did and just signed the goddamn contract that was offered him. Wouldn't even have questioned it. If you really love the club, you take whatever. Yes, you should be earning more than what he's earning. I don't think any of us disagree that Mason Mount should probably earn more than what he's earning, but
he's on 60, 70,
you have to earn it. And if the incentives are what is not letting you sign that contract, Mason Mount, then you need to up your standards because they're not to par.
Also, I was like, there's two things with this. Number one, we paid Koulibaly 300k or 200 and whatever k it is because of his performances elsewhere. It's the same reason why we gave Sterling so much money.
You don't know if it's a shit contract. You don't know
he
if
wants,
it's a shit contract.
He wants to be the highest earner. He wants to be the highest or the second highest earner.
That's
at the
what
club.
I mean.
And his
Gary,
performances,
let's be reasonable here.
In terms of his performances, you can make a case that of all the attackers we have on form, he's the worst of the bunch.
Gary, if you want to debate this, then tell me: has Raheem Sterling been worse than Mason Mount? Who else is a high earner in the club? I don't even fucking know. I mean, is Enzo?
Most players are high earners.
Kante is on a high wage because Kante has earned that contract. Let's not forget that. Like he has earned that contract.
Kante
I know he's injured now.
At the time.
But even before, he was on that contract before the Champions League as well, Marshall. He has earned his way up to that, and Kante probably.
We don't know what the contract is, but like the people who want to defend Mason Mount and this whole situation want to say like, oh, it's a shit contract. It's a shit contract. You don't know if it's a shit contract. You know what's a shit contract? If we're paying this player $300K a week, that's
Mark
a shit
currently
contract.
is on $80K a week, and there was a report like I think 2 days ago saying that he wants to be paid 3 times the amount.
Yeah,
that's 240K.
That's 240K. He's not worth 240K.
I find it insanely doubtful that he was offered a shittier contract than Reece and Chalobah, especially Chalobah. But those guys didn't hesitate to fucking sign the damn thing.
He's on 250K a week. I still maintain that they probably offered.
If he triples his wages, he'll be the 5th highest earner at the club, and that's if he just triples them. If he gets what he reportedly wants, he will be the 2nd highest earner at the football club,
and he doesn't deserve it. I'm sorry. He had a decent season yesterday. Arguably, we were all shit. I'm sorry, Oliver. I'll let you go after this. He had a decent season last season, where arguably everyone else was shit, and he just happened to be the least shittiest. Right? Because I showed you guys here on stream. We were all here on stream. I showed you the comparison to the player stats in 2012 versus our player stats last season. They're in the mud. They're in the mud. Okay. Fucking Juan Mata was doubling the numbers that Lukaku was putting. You know, it's absurd. So the standard has dropped completely. And then last season, the season before that, we were complaining that there's no output. And you know what? I wish I bit my tongue then, because I rather Mason Mount then than this one who's giving me no output and no performances.
One quick thing about that, you know, like say Mata's numbers, we got rid of Mata.
And we got rid of Mata because he wasn't up to snuff back then.
No, Jose just didn't want
he
it.
Was. He was.
Yeah.
And Jose got rid of him because he didn't fit. Again, it's back to the conversation where it's like he doesn't fit.
He wanted Oscar. He wanted Oscar more.
Oliver, what were you gonna say, bro?
I don't have a lot to add onto what you guys said, except this, and I don't know if you have the report or not, but it was it's been spoken about that apparently Mount has been basing his kind of aspirational wage based on what his England teammates earn, and I just want to read some of these. Jadon Sancho, 350,000 per week, flop. Jack Grealish, 300k per week, flop. Harry Maguire, 190k per week, flop. Like you know, do we want to make that same mistake? That's the only question I have to
get
ask.
paid more. If this is true too, if Harry Kane, this is what he earns, Jesus Christ, Harry Kane should be earning those wages, not these other players.
Yeah, we'll take Harry Kane. We'll give him Mason Mount, man. The better Dele Alli, and they give us Harry Kane.
This is the problem, though. You know, if it's true that Mount is basing it off these, then some of his sample size, he's basing it off, you know, bona fide flops in the Premier League. You look at Sancho, look at Grealish, look at Maguire, massive fees paid, huge contracts. They haven't lived up to it, and Chelsea Football Club simply don't need another one of those. We've already been through it with Lukaku. We don't need another one of those, and other players, but we don't need another.
And here's the other thing too. Again, I'll even admit yesterday, This is going to be weird to admit it. Mason Mount, when he came off the bench, he looked better than when he started the last 4 games, 5, 18 games, whatever the fuck. He actually looked better, which isn't much. There's been a slight improvement. If he, despite not fucking passing the ball to Ziyech, if he makes that chances the way he was doing and actually gets more involved in the game and keeps coming on as a super sub and have him play when everyone else is tired just to make him look good or whatever and have him perform, just that's what I want. Just earn your spot back in the starting 11. Seriously, because as of late, it's just not been merited. Earn your spot back. He doesn't deserve a spot in the starting 11. Kai Havertz also, I understand what Scott said earlier. There are some tactical reasons why it makes sense and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, I'd rather Davis and Dodger Fofana get a shout. Gallagher, these players deserve to be on the bench and have them work for their spot in the starting 11 again. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it motivates the player and incentivizes, keyword there, incentivizes the player to perform well when he does get the opportunities. And we'll see where it goes from there. If you can't bench Mount, then you know what? Just sell him. You bench them once. Let's see how long this goes for. I don't know if anyone else has anything to add to that.
Don't need to add anything else, man. We've spoken about Mount too much these days, man.
Yeah, I know. It's always good to have a proper.
Let's have it right.
Proper discussion on the Mount. Get those Mount rants out of you every now and again. But all right, boys, let's move on to the next topic. Details that have surfaced about the Zakaria contract situation. So, not much, but Chelsea have not made any decision on Dennis Zakaria. They have a buy option clause close to 30 million euros decision in April /May, which is in 2 months from now. Juve are still waiting for Chelsea to decide. Player would love to stay, but it's up to the club. This is coming from Fabrizio Romano. How do we feel about Zakaria, that price? Do we want him to stay? Do we want to see it out more?
I'd prefer him to stay than Kante.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Considering
where that's coming from, but
considering the injury history, considering considering the injury history, considering like his discipline when it comes to being able to sit, and how that complements players like Enzo, considering just like a few things, I'd happily take up this option. Like at the very least, I think he's more used to the squad than players like Mount in the midfield, like Gallagher, even like Loftus-Cheek, as decent as he was yesterday. And I still think I'm calm with keeping him. But yeah, I'm absolutely fine. And as well, if Kovacic is going to continue having a season like he's having for us, where like he seems like he doesn't want to be bothered, like he can't be asked, like whether that's because of like Tuchel getting sacked or whatever it is. Yeah, I'm more than happy to keep. And yeah, I want him to stay over Kante 100%.
Listen, on the surface, it looks like a ridiculous take, but I get where you're coming from. There's a lot more to it than just, Kante's injury history versus Zakaria. So I get it in that aspect. Anyone else want to add on to Zakaria? Go ahead, Oliver.
Yeah, I'll just say something. Like, this is what we want at the end of the day. Like, onto what Scott said, him staying over Kante, and it bleeds into a bit as well the reports previous about Mount. We don't want the club to operate on sentiment because there's no, that's just a gut feeling. Kante, as much as we are trying to get, a guy to deal with hamstring injuries, Kante's going to be 32 soon if he's not already, and it doesn't get much better from here. And as much as Zakaria has his own injury problems, they're less frequent, and he's also younger. The fee itself is fantastic for considering the player that we've gotten out of him. In the limited time we've seen him, I think it's a more than worthwhile fee. It's just up to the club to try and negotiate a reasonable salary, because that will be the only sticking point and the only thing that can really be discussed. And then, if we can agree on that, then I think we've got a mighty fine player on our hands, even if he's not a starter.
Ahmed and Chris, your thoughts?
Yeah, I was going to agree with Scott as well, because one, Kante's injury prone. Two, Kante's on a high wage where, let's be honest, he doesn't need to be on that now because he's not really like playing like more 15 games a season now. probably not. So yeah, and Zachary, he's 26 years old. He's what 30 million euros, less than 200k for sure. He's like what 100 and something k a week. I'm assuming. To me it makes sense. Zachary can be a great bench option as well. Like I'm pretty sure Zachary would be fine on the bench as long as he gets minutes and rotation, and we play a lot of competitions. Normally we play FA Cup, we play a Carabao Cup, we play Champions League normally. Maybe not next season, but we'll be there eventually again. So yeah, like I'd definitely take it over Kante and I'd keep him. Yeah, 30 million euros is nothing today.
You guys not worried that there's a potential that he could go back to that form he was in Juve?
I don't know that form. I didn't watch
he
that
wasn't
league.
playing at Juve. Look at Allegri right now. Look at Juventus right now. They're not doing well.
He played for Juve.
He was only there for 6 months.
I was going to say he played all of about like 11 games, I think. Or something.
They bought
He was
him.
injured.
They bought him from Mönchengladbach last January for about 5 million euros, and he barely played.
I was going to say he played one game and got injured.
Ah.
Let me have a little look.
Is there even?
Oh, I'm gonna have to bounce.
I don't want to say.
I'm gonna have to bounce, so I'll just see you in a bit. Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks for coming on, man.
No problem, man.
So, I mean, I don't want to hop to conclusions, but is he an injury-prone player? Sort of.
He's had a decent amount of injuries, but like they're not like then. It's weird because he had a decent amount of injuries, but I wouldn't say a lot of them are that serious. Like there's like a couple about the coronavirus, a couple of fitness issues, a strain. Like the most serious injury he's had was a few years ago. It was 3 years ago, and it was a knee injury.
I'll tell you what, the player we were seeing before that knee injury, he was on his way to being one of the best in the world, and it's a shame. But I think as we've seen playing for Chelsea, there is still glimpses of a great player in there, and that's not even me being hopeful. He's genuinely been very good at times when he's played for us.
Yep.
Fair enough. I mean, I can't disagree. I've liked what I've seen so far. I'm only asking questions that maybe would have.
What'd you say?
But I was just asking questions. Is my mic cutting in and out?
No,
yeah,
it went all silent for me.
All right, sorry about that. Let me get closer to the mic. I'm being all, I'm hanging out. I'm pulling a Lewis. I'm just chilling here. Anyways, so yeah, with Zakaria, it's I've been really impressed with the performances, but I'm simply just asking the questions that may arise when it comes to committing to a player like this, and how long of a commitment would it be? Because I don't even know if we do pay that buy option clause. How long is that contract that he's currently on for? Does anyone know?
Well, that would be a negotiation between the player and
okay,
us.
so that's still up in the air.
The only fixed thing is that fee. We have to negotiate the length of the contract, the wages, and the bonuses that are paid to the player.
But like onto what you were saying, Oliver. Yeah, before the injury, like we were linked with this guy when he was at Gladbach. It just never worked out because our our regime was a little frugal at the time, and. Yeah, he's been looking good, and I like what I'm seeing, and he's resurrecting his career in a sense with Chelsea. But I don't know, Scott, did you want to add something there, or
no? I was just thinking about something.
You're just alleviating the stresses that is being a Chelsea fan.
The only way I wouldn't pay that option is unless the club are going to go and get like multiple options for midfield that would be better than what he's going to offer you. Like if they're going to go and get, for example, like a Kone plus. And when I say other options, I mean less expensive options. So if they go and get, for example, like a Kone and an Ugarte, for example, the guy from Sporting, like, and they both cost you like they both cost each around what Zakaria is going to offer. So they're both like 30 mil each. Then I'd say fair enough, don't get Zakaria because they're both fitter. Like they actually have, like they are better suited for what we need next to Enzo. But apart from that, like. I don't think there's much of a risk in paying that fee. It's not a large fee in the grand scheme of things in today's market, and I'm fine with him coming in. As I said, even to just be a squad option, to be a guy who you can rotate in, or you can come off the bench to like bring a bit more physicality and a bit more solidity to the midfield if you need it. Like I'm fine with him staying.
Cool. I think we're all in agreement. Before we go on with the show, ladies and gents in the chat, make sure you are smashing that like button. Nearly 70 of you on here. It helps out the channel big time. It helps with the algorithm. It helps make sure that you guys are always notified pretty much when we're going to go live, whenever that is. You never know. I might do a react stream tomorrow. Who knows? You won't know unless you hit that bell notification. Also, join the membership. We have 4 tiers starting at 99p. You get emojis like the ones that have been used in chat, like the ones I'm going to drop right now. Thumbs up, merchant. You know what? I want you guys to hit the like button, just like Romelu Lukaku puts his thumbs up in the air. Okay? So make sure you guys have fun with those emojis. We'll be we have 2 new memberships, so big up to you guys who just joined today. We'll add some more emojis when we're off stream for the next one, so you guys will have fun with that. So yeah, guys, make sure you check out the links in the description, all that fun stuff and all that. Last topic that I want to talk about, the big topic. Some would say a monstro topic. Let's talk about Thiago Silva and move on from that terrible joke I just made. Anyways, Thiago Silva on Instagram. Shut the hell up. Thiago Silva on Instagram
as well. Proper Chelsea.
Hey, proper Chelsea, man. Thiago Silva and Bel Silva. You love them both, but hey, even Thiago Silva thought this was a handball. I'm just saying. He kept professional about it, but even he thought it was a handball. But we moved. This isn't the reason I brought this up. Okay, the reason I brought this up is because. Exclusive from Fabrizio Romano. Chelsea have now reached full verbal agreement with Thiago Silva on new contract valid until June 2024. Here we go. Draft on new deal being prepared. It's all done, agreed verbally as Thiago Silva has given a green light. New contract to be signed soon. Thank you, Chelsea, for giving this man another year. And you know what? Just give him as many years as he needs until we decide that he's not up to scuff anymore. Which I don't know when that's going to happen. This guy's
until
like
we don't need him.
Until we don't need him, pretty much. Until maybe we replace him. Who knows? Yeah, who knows? Maybe we do replace him. You know, we spare him and we replace him because at the end of the day, this man needs to have rest. This man needs to go to Abu Dhabi, have some pina coladas with his wife, and enjoy the rest of his life. Sell his brand. He has a brand, right? I think he has a brand of clothing. You know,
I wouldn't surprise.
Enjoy retirement, Thiago Silva. But until then. Listen, this guy loves his club. I love it, and he signed another year. I hate
this
that...
man deserves 300k a week, not Mason Mount. I ain't kidding.
Yeah, there you go.
Like he is like one of our best players, and he's on 100k. Like ish. He don't care about the money because he's earned it all at PSG and everything, and he's like 39, so he's earned probably a shit ton of money all over his years. But he definitely deserves to be over 200k because he's our most consistent player. Barely makes any mistakes, helps the scores. I think he's even got 2 assists this season as well from centre back.
He's our top assister, tied.
See what? See,
yes!
Like
my playmaker.
This guy deserves. This guy deserves to be Chelsea's player of the season because he's been, to me, top 2 centre backs in the Premier League this season. I know people go say Saliba and Botman, whatever, like or a few others, but the stats back it up. Like he is literally doing so many crazy interceptions off like the line many times as well. Like he's so good. So sign him for another year, maybe another year. Maybe he's gonna last at Chelsea when he's 40 because he's turning 39 this year as well. So. Yeah, it's mad. Like a guy at his age is still playing at top level. Like you don't see that. Like maybe Maldini, of course, because Maldini did last a long time, but you don't see it. It's very rare. So we're very blessed and lucky to have like Thiago Silva at this club because he's helped us win trophies. He's helped us steer the ship, keeping clean sheets, being a good defense because we are a good defense when Thiago's in that defense. We're very stable. So yeah.
I think he's currently our captain too, isn't he? With Jorginho, he's been manning the captain.
Well, Aspie's the club captain, but he doesn't play.
But so when he does play, Thiago Silva, when we play games, Silva's been the captain, right?
He was in the last 2 games, Fulham and West Ham, just by default.
Because Aspie, I mean, when Aspie plays, he'll be
I'm assuming Silva's
now he's kind of vice captain.
I'm assuming Thiago Silva's vice. He should be the vice.
Yeah, that would make sense to me. But regardless of the captaincy thing, I mean, Chris, you said it pretty on point. You know what made me laugh is that I happened to see a clip of the rivals when we first signed Silva under Lampard. The rivals laughing at us, telling us, laughing. Yeah, it's spot on, actually, Oliver. Yeah,
it's the
that
Coppish
exact
boys.
one.
Monster.
laughing
Oh
at
my
us,
god.
saying that Thiago Silva better than Van Dijk.
Yeah,
I
Monstar.
mean,
Monstar was running the prop, and he was spot on, absolutely spot on.
Oh, the good old monster.
the good old days of Monster, not so relevant now. But we move. But yeah, listen, this guy has stood the test of time. He deserves a contract. I'm even gonna go as far as to say, like, I consider him in my book a Chelsea legend at this point because the performances have been there consistently, over and over and over and over again. This guy always putting in a top tier defensive performance, and I can't thank him enough. Like, honestly, and he's come to this team. Him and his wife love the team, love the club, and he's put everything on that pitch for the club. Won the champion. Well, he was heartbroken when he couldn't finish the Champions League game, and you saw how he was like on the touchline as a leader on that sideline during that Champions League game, coaching all of our defenders, Reese, Christensen, Rudiger from the sideline. You love to see it. This man is passionate about the club. I'm all for it. He's in my books as one of the Chelsea greats. I love it. I don't know if anyone wants to add to any of that. I feel like we're just kind of beating a dead horse here because we all agree.
I mean, I want to say to Chris, I'll do one better. He's the best centre back in the world, and just looking at just looking at the squads he's played in, the 2020-21 squad, the 2021-22 squad, and this season's squad. You know, these are some of the worst squads since the Roman Abramovich era, and the mentality has been on the floor. The quality has been on the floor. Yet one of the constants has been Silva. His performances, his mentality never ever dropped. And you know, the age is always brought up, but you know, not to beat a dead horse, but it is still fantastic. It's amazing that he gets to do this. You know, we are witnessing, this is what a real generational talent looks like. You know, you don't give someone that label at the age of 17 years old. You know, you look over the career and look at the longevity. This is a generational talent, I think. And I'm not trying to imply things to certain players, because this is a general thing in football. We just need to drop that generational thing for some people, because this is the way to do it. You look at the overall career and the longevity. This guy's a prime example.
100%. Scott, I don't know if you have anything else to really add.
No, I completely agree. On the centre back thing, I will say that this is what happens when people don't do their research about a player or just judge a player based on stupid shit. It's the same thing people did with Martinez, because he's small. Like, it's the same thing people do. But yeah, he's been incredible. Like, he is as has been mentioned, he's at worst one of the top 3 centre backs in the league this season. At worst, and at best, he's the best centre back in the world. Yeah, he's been incredible this season. And this isn't to beat a dead horse on this situation, but this is a prime example of someone working their way towards a contract, of earning a contract. And he has effectively earned a 4-year contract over a period of 4 years with basically a year extension every year, effectively.
Ooh.
Like, he's
That's actually really true when you put it that way.
Basically been given a 1+1+1+1.
Yeah,
like,
that's crazy.
That's effectively what he's been given, and he's shown every single season. Like, he's got better every single season as well, which is kind of mad.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying.
Like,
yeah, that's actually true.
Mentioned,
holy shit!
Especially this season, until we started making some improvements in January, I would argue. Actually, no, I will maintain that this squad that we had up until we got the improvements in January is the worst squad I've ever seen in my lifetime. And the fact that he was the shining light above all of that, and at 38 years old, he is still cleaning up in defence. He is while other players are messing up in defence, whether that be Kukurea, Chilwell, Koulibaly, Aspi when he's played, whoever, right? When they are messing up or when they are causing problems, he is sweeping up everything. He is doing
the midfield in front of him as well.
Oh, 100%. He is doing more than any 38-year-old should do in football. More than any 38-year-old should be doing in football. And he is, he has earned this. And I'd almost agree with you, Marshall, in terms of the legend thing, just because of how good a player he is. But I haven't got a bad word to say about this guy when it comes to mentality, professionalism, ability, everything. Like, I have not got a bad word to say about him. He has been an incredible signing for us, arguably one of the best signings we've ever made. And what's mad is like, imagine if we'd have got him like a few years earlier, if we'd have got him about like 2-3 years earlier. Like, it's genuinely like what he's done is incredible.
And listen, I'm glad you mentioned a 4-year contract because it's almost like having an incentive actually works in the favor of the club, where these players. Because I'm not going to say like if Silva didn't have the 1+ year option that he wouldn't work as hard. I'm sure he would. But don't you think it adds a little bit that like, oh, I have to earn my next year. Let me continue to perform as well as I have.
He doesn't need incentive. That's his mentality.
He doesn't need an incentive.
No, but it comes down to mentality. That's what it is.
Yeah,
he doesn't
yeah.
need incentive because it comes down to mentality. Because it doesn't
People
matter
don't-
what
People forget this.
Like-
He took a wage cut to come here from PSG.
He did.
He halved his wage to
Oh,
come here from PSG.
I was like 300
That's
PSG.
crazy.
This is the thing, and I go back. What I was going back saying about him as a player, he wanted like with the thing with PSG is he wanted to stay there. He wanted to retire there. He gave everything for that club and wanted to stay there. And the only reason he left is because of them. And I'm glad that they did that. Like fair play. Thank you, PSG. Thank you, whatever your name is, the guy that owns
Leonardo.
them. And it was it? Don't know. It was just Leonardo or the owners, whatever. Like
Leonardo was a sporting director. He was the guy that made the choice.
I feel like they'd be
he
kicking
was
themselves for that
he's
now.
no longer. But yeah, like he wanted to retire there, and again, it comes down to mentality because he gives it all, no matter what. Like his mentality is elite, and there are players, and not just the obvious, but there are a bunch of players in this squad who could learn a lot of things. There are a bunch of players in football
100%.
that could learn a lot of things about him and what he does, the way he looks after himself physically, the way he is mentally. He is a huge role model for any professional player, especially defenders. I'm not just saying this as well. I'm not just saying this because he's a Chelsea player. In terms of role model status, I'd put him up there with the likes of Maldini and Baresi. In terms of if you want, same with like Rio Ferdinand as well. In terms of maybe not the mentality, but like the playing. But like in terms of the total package as a defender, people, if you're a defender in football, Maldini, Baresi, Silva, the likes of these guys, go and watch them, study them, their mentality, how they look after themselves, how they play. He is that level of player.
Yeah, I can't disagree. This guy is amazing. I am so grateful for him to be at Chelsea. And yeah, man, I don't know how many more flowers I need to give this guy, but I hope it continues. I hope he continues to stay in the form he's in and keep improving, actually, because that's actually true. He has improved since he's joined, which is absolutely crazy to think. It's so bizarre because players don't usually get better with age, but this man is aging like a fine wine, quite literally. So that being said, ladies and gents, we're going to go ahead and end the show right here. Make sure before you leave, you smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. You're here. You stuck with us through the whole entire hour and a half. You probably like the channel. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so you don't miss any future streams that might come up later in the week. As far as I'm aware, we'll be back this Wednesday to talk about the results of the Dortmund game. Hopefully it's a W. But yeah, we'll be back after that game. I think an hour after the game. So we'll see what happens. Like and subscribe, like Zuber said. And big up to the new members. Big up to God of Frogs. Big up to Zuber, who signed up for the membership at the casual tier. We have 3 other tiers available as well. So yeah, feel free to check that out. Check out the links in the description. Leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think about today's show and what you thought about everyone's opinions on here. Check out the links in the description for more info, and our Twitter and our Discord and all other things. But guys, it's been lovely. Thank you, Oliver, Chris, and Scott for joining me. Ahmed as well for being here earlier in the panel, and Alex. But you guys have a great rest of your evening. We'll see you on Wednesday, and y'all stay casual. Peace.